Welcome. Today we are preparing a brand new bedrock style plane. This one is from DICTUM, and we're making actually a series of videos on tuning a bedrock style plane because many of you have many questions about this, about the tension of the screws, about the sole, about flatness, about sharpening, and so many other things. So we'll break it down into small bits, and we'll be able to go very thoroughly down to the nitty-gritty of every aspect in there. So this is a plane I recommend to all of my students. It's a professional quality plane that is made on a budget, so that you don't need to spend 500 euros on a very good quality jack plane. Okay, of course you can do that and it's totally fine, but some people just cannot afford to spend that kind of money, and this is a very sensible, very reasonable approach, and it's a tool that will last you for a lifetime. And in my opinion, all hand tools that you buy, they should last for at least 3 lifetimes, and it is my personal goal to make sure everything I have in my workshop will outlast me. And yeah, so this is how they come. Let me just open it. Incredibly useful plane. One of the first questions is, which plane should I get first? And my answer is a bevel up jack plane. That's as simple as that, and we could make a 30-minute video on why. This is thoroughly discussed in the online school of woodworking that we're going to be recording in the next months, hopefully, and so you'll have all the information there. But for now, let's just do some tune-up work. Let's see if I can get this out. Yeah, here it is. And I know this come very oily, so I have a sacrificial board ready for this kind of job. And the first thing I'm gonna do is to remove some of the excess oil. This is a defense against returning planes because they've gone rusty during transport or something. Okay. So as I was saying, with a little bit of work, not really that much, maybe at the most half an hour work, you can get this plane to perform as well as it possibly can, and as well as any other wheel. So it's a good option. Yeah. All right. So the first thing is I'm going to remove the cap iron and the blade and chip breaker assembly. And please note, the frog here is really coated in oil. For the moment, I'm just not going to touch this, okay? This surface particularly, we don't want it rusty because the blade lateral adjustment relies on having a good guidance here. So it's not hurting anyone. So you can just leave it there. And the first thing I note that's very common is that the handles are a little bit sloppy. It's not because they're poorly made, it's just that the wood shrinks, and it's very common, and it happens with all manufacturers. Especially now here, it's a very dry environment. We're in summer, quite possibly below 30 degrees below 30% of moisture content, and that means the wood shrinks a lot, and it's the best time of the year to make sure everything is tight, and then it will remain tight for the rest of the year. So those brass screws are fragile. All brass screws are. The beauty of brass is that it will never rust, and in 100 years time you will be able to remove those knobs for repairs, but you must make sure you don't damage them, okay, because brass is relatively soft. And so in all premium hand planes, all those will be brass or bronze maybe sometimes, and you shouldn't damage them. And the way to avoid damaging them is just using a proper fitting screwdriver, and that is an important part. Don't use anything, use one that really fits, or make one, modify one to fit these slots. So I'm gonna come in here, very gently I will tighten them. Okay, this one, you see, this is a good fit. Okay, so that's done, and quite possibly we won't need to do this again. The handles themselves, they are already coated with, I think this is some form of varnish, and I don't think I need to do anything to those really. Other hand plane manufacturers, they will put only a little bit of wax or maybe some oil. Perhaps with my favorite lineals and planes, I will usually make an extra coat with Osmo reference number 3232, which is very tough, and it will protect the handles against the dirt in my hands a little bit more. But you know, that's an extra detail. I think this is totally fine and we don't need to do anything. They are very comfortable, these handles, by the way. They're nice and rounded all the way, and the flat side, it's very, very well blended in with this. So nothing else to do here. And now we're going to address the matter of the sole. We have three things to discuss. The first one is a common issue here at the opening. We call this the mouth usually, and when they machine this surface, sometimes a little burr or a hook is left there, and I think you can hear, I can barely catch it. It's very small, but I can catch it with my fingernail. Okay, so this we need to remove because it will create a lot of friction, and you want to avoid friction as much as you possibly can. The only, in a theoretical situation, the only force you want to be working against is the resistance of the fibers to being separated from the wood. Okay, so all glidance should be as effortless as we possibly can do it, and this is a major issue. And I see many students struggling with their hand planes when they come here for the first time, and then we have a look at them and really we see they didn't remove the burr. It would fall off in use, in time, I guess, but it's a very good idea to remove it. And the best way to remove it is just by using one of these very simple but very well made diamond files. Okay, you don't need one, you can go just with a metal sandpaper, that's totally fine. You can glue it onto a stick of wood and that's all, but these are made by DMT, and I like them very much, and they're lasting a long time. So that's a good addition, and you'll find that they work very well for many things. So I'm just coming at a 45-degree angle. Okay, and now I can check with my fingers that there are no burrs anymore. That's good. So I'm going to remove a little bit of these metal filings, metal dust really. Later we'll do a better cleanup, but we need to continue doing other stuff on the sole. So the next thing, and this will make a major difference also to any hand plane you buy. The flattening process leaves very small scratches, very faint scratches. Actually, the better the manufacturer, the finer the scratch pattern is. And this one, it's barely imperceptible. You cannot, almost you cannot see it with your eyes, but you can feel it. And I think if I take a small bit of wood that I should have somewhere here. Yeah. I can rub the corner against it and you will hear there is a very clear texture there. And you of course you can go away and just do the job with the sole as it is, but you will improve performance so much, so incredibly much, if you remove this texture. So that's a great thing to do, and I do it to all the planes I buy, always. And this is the same process as removing rust, you know, these rusty fingerprints that will creep up into your plane. As soon as you see them, you can do the exact same thing. I'm using the finest steel wool, which is 4O steel wool, and metal polish. And this one, I've been using it for quite a few years now. It's called Stark, but there are many of them. It's not something special. Just make sure it's for iron metals. There are some that are more dedicated for brass and silverware and this kind of thing. This one is the kind you want. And so I'm going to prepare a little bit of this. I'm going to use my gloves. You know, in general, the cleanest you possibly can be, the cleanest the result of your work will be also. And it's a good idea to take time for those things. Okay. So I'll do only one part and then we'll be able to compare. So a little bit like this, that's plenty enough for a lot of polishing. And I'm going to come in ellipse shapes, mostly across the width, because the scratch pattern goes this way and I want to knock it off just by going this way. Okay, so I come here. You're not affecting the flatness of your sole by doing this, because the metal you're removing is almost zero. Okay. I can add some more here. That's enough. Okay, and the instructions say that you should keep rubbing until it becomes dry and then rub some more. Okay, I think when it's dry it's more abrasive. So we'll rub a little bit more. That's a fairly quick process really. And this process you should avoid making it on your workbench if you can do it somewhere else, because you don't want metal strands around what you're working. Okay, and maybe some final passes in the planing direction. Okay, and now I'm going to remove the excess. This already feels quite different. Make sure you remove the excess also from the inside of the mouth. And if you need to, you can use mineral spirits, or I use acetone for this. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it done. You could do also the sides if you want. And now we can test the difference between this half that I have prepared and the half which is original. And you will see very quickly that there is a difference. You won't see it, but you will listen. So I come here, this is the original, okay, and this is the polished part. Okay, so that is a great difference. You can hear it, I can feel it in my fingers, and definitely if you try planing before and after doing this, you will find an enormous difference. Okay, so that's something that will improve tremendously the performance of your plane. And the last thing I wanted to mention is this contour here, those irises, those sharp corners, they should have no bumps. Okay, maybe we can see some remainings of the bands, so that cut the metal here, the metal casting, but there is nothing that will scratch the wood, and this is very important. Very often my students find that they have a nick here because they have hit quite usually a clamp, and then the tiniest of nicks will ruin your work very quickly. And how do you remove those nicks? Very easily. You get the same file. You can use a regular file for this, also for the preparation of the mouth, for deburring, and you just go at 45 degrees and you can file it away. Okay, but usually the manufacturer gives you the plane obviously without any nicks, and I cannot feel anything that will be a problem. Okay, all right, so that's the first part of this video series. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will be very thankful to you, and the filming crew here and I will be able to keep delivering videos your way. And yeah, next things we're gonna discuss are the tightness of this screw, that is the lever cap screw. You have many questions usually about this, all the mechanisms, things like backlash. We'll discuss the chip breaker and the blade and all there is to it, and flattening the sole, all of those things we're gonna be telling you in the near future. So stay tuned. Thank you.